Welcome to the Shifting with Marlee podcast. I'm Marlee. Thank you for joining me wherever you are. All that I ask of you, the listener, is to have an open mind and an open heart. And in return, I offer you myself. Today, we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about our relationship to money and our limiting beliefs around money and how it impacts all of our relationships in our life. We're also going to talk about our collective relationship to money on a global scale and the impact that has on the planet. I started the conversation about overcoming our limiting beliefs back in episode 15, but our limiting beliefs around money are so deep, so pervasive, and have such a global impact. It needed its own podcast episode. There is so much opportunity for personal growth and expansion when we bring awareness to and begin to heal our relationship to money. So many of us give our power away to money. And as we transition towards a new earth and global healing, it's time to take our power back. I'm so excited to welcome to this conversation today, Morgana Rae. Morgana is one of the top relationship with money coaches and author of the best-selling book, Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation. Morgana's purpose is to help heal the rift between heart, spirit, and money. Welcome, Morgana.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us.
I'm very glad to be here. And I love what you said about how essential this relationship with money is, especially for the do-gooders. Like the sociopaths do not need to listen to this episode. This is not your issue. But for those of us who actually really care about others and the planet, and we want to do good, money has this like extra level of bad guy obstacle. And I would be lying if I were to claim that money is not a problem, a motivation for the greatest crimes and most horrible things human beings have done. You know, with slave trading going back thousands of years. So there's a natural inclination for caring types, spiritual types, healer types, idealistic types to want to have nothing to do with money. And that's a problem because then we're disempowered. That was, I think, my favorite thing that you said in your intro was, I think it was something about taking our power back. I'm not teaching you to like give away your power to some money fairy who's going to like solve all your problems and all the world's problems for you. I attract a lot of law of attraction people. You know, they're my friends. I'm friends with almost all the people who were in the movie The Secret are like my buddies. So yay. And positive thinking is not enough. It's implied in the movie that if you sit on the couch and you think about a bag of gold, it's going to fall on your lap. And it doesn't work that way. I actually prefer to see money as more of a spiritual teacher.
I love that, Morgana. Yeah. I love that. And before we dive in too deep, can you let people know where they can find you and connect with you?
Oh, of course. MorganaRae.com. It's my name in the show notes. M as in Mary, O-R-G-A, N as in Nancy, A-R-A-E.com. That's like the mothership that has loads of resources, videos, quizzes, articles, audio classes. There are also some programs, and my best-selling book is there. But honestly, I just wanted to create a location of resources because when you're starting out, first you need to taste. It's like a first date. You need to see, you know, if this is right for you.
Absolutely. So, you really dove in and we've already started the conversation, but I just would love to start about talking about our current relationship with money that humanity has as a whole and what that looks like and what impacts it has on the individual level and the global level.
Well, if there's pain and there's anxiety, that tells you exactly what our current relationship with money is. And when there's any question or debate about whether something needs to be done, when we're looking at polar ice caps melting and the eastern seaboard is underwater and the west coast is on fire and we're still debating whether we should take action, that is a suicidal relationship with money. That's like a money that wants to kill us all. It's not a friendly relationship. It doesn't serve us to pretend that everything's okay. This is what drives me a little batty with positive thinking and affirmations. And I was, talking about law of attraction a minute ago, is like, if you are being evicted, saying I am wealthy isn't going to change that. You really need to have to deal with what is there. In fact, if you can use the trauma as leverage to empower yourself, that is the direction that I want to steer you to. You can't hide your head in the sand and pretend stuff isn't going on, but you can use it as a source of power. There's a lot of social shaming for victim experience. It goes back a long time. Look at the book of Job. By the way, I was a religion major at Smith College, so I love to pull on, different world religions as reference points. But my favorite thing about the book of Job is he has his comforters in air quotes saying, gee, Job, you must have done something really bad, when we, the readers, know that he didn't. So that's life. Like, you do everything right and you still have a challenge. That's why I like to say money is like a spiritual teacher. I find that a really useful paradigm. So in India, you have Lord Shiva, one of the Trinity of gods in India. There's this great statue, the dancing Shiva with, all the arms, and he's dancing. But what you don't tend to look at is underneath his foot. He's standing on one foot with his other leg in the air. Under his foot is a guy, and he is dancing on the back of some poor bloke who is us. But he's doing it out of compassion so that we will let go of all of our ignorance and fear and limitations so that he can save us. But he does that by dancing on our damn back to get our attention so that we will finally let go of what's killing us. And that's kind of what money does, is it gets your attention like nothing else.
So our relationship with money impacts almost everything. And as a species, we've really tended to prioritize money over people and the planet.
And how's that working out for you? I've been a life and business coach since 1994, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. I'm really one of the first wave of coaches. And the reason I focus on relationship with money is because I've coached thousands of people, and money is the number one excuse human beings give for what we can't have, do, or be. It is the scapegoat. So even if you're feeling right with the world and you're not worried about climate change and all that Sturm und Drang that I just brought in, every time you've said, oh, I'd love to, but I can't afford it, even if you're just being polite, you're subconsciously telling yourself that money is the bad guy who gets in the way of what you want. So I wouldn't say every person has a money monster, but I would say that most people do. And that this monster relationship with money is sort of a metaphor for our relationship with life and existence and the limitations. It's just that we tend to blame it all on money. And because money pays for our healthcare and our house and our food, and has a lot to do with our social life, what we can do with our time, even our spirituality. I can't think of anything that money doesn't touch. So it's a really great place to start, because when you shift that, you shift everything else.
And similarly, I just want to bring this part in. A lot of people blame capitalism for our problems, but do you think capitalism as it exists today is a symptom and metaphor for our skewed and off balance and messed up relationship with money?
I have given a lot of thought to this. And when we don't have capitalism, we still have serfs, and we still have paupers, and we still have peasants, and we still have racism, and we still have sexism, and we still have pollution. Oh my God, I've been to Armenia and Azerbaijan and Georgia and a bunch of former Soviet states, and they have their countrysides are shells of skeletons of factories, and they still have all this pollution from communism. So capitalism is not the problem. Capitalism is simply a way of raising resources to do things on a larger scale than we can just by passing goats back and forth. Humans, the problems that we have today, we had slavery before we had capitalism. The problems that we have today with classes and scarcity and unfairness and cruelty and racism and sexism and hierarchy and distribution, those are human. That's like saying math is the problem. It's not. It's just a human tool. When human beings feel more secure, feel safer in the world, feel loved, feel valued, then it's like our cup runneth over. And then really we just want to focus on love. We want to focus on a healthy lifestyle, not so much acquisition, because we aren't trying to fill an emptiness in us. And what we really do is then we focus on legacy. How can I help? So does capitalism have problems? Absolutely. And what we're seeing right now isn't really strictly capitalism. What we're seeing are oligarchies. Is it cost? It's some really weird term that I haven't heard much. When a few people have almost all the resources, then it's no longer capitalism. When the government is subsidizing oil fields and things that kill us at the expense of everyday workers, that's really not capitalism. When people are yelling, why won't anybody take this job that endangers their life but doesn't pay them a living wage? That is capitalism. That is capitalism when a worker says no. Are you kidding? No, I'm not going to take that job. That is capitalism. So it's humans.
It's humans. And if we shift our relationship to money, get to that root, it shifts everything, like you said.
Yes. And it's an individual journey for a collective goal.
Yes, Morgana. Yes. Love that. Thank you for saying that. So what are some of the most common limiting beliefs around money that you see?
Well, so when people come to me and they want a new relationship with money, they usually are coming with money stories and money dramas. I'm sure nobody listening can relate. Here's the secret, the trick that I figured out only because I coached so many people and I had to figure out what works, is I've never found the root cause or the solution in the money story itself. That's just a symptom of deeper issues. Yes, there's tremendous systemic stuff. And I get that and I respect that, but I want you to be bigger than it too. I do not want your color or your religion or your gender or your ability or whatever. I don't want, what's already given in your playing field to stop you. So I acknowledge it, but I also want you to be bigger than that. coaching so many people gives me so much hope about what's possible. I mean, you guys, just human beings, inspire me. So I've seen like crazy people like really facing the abyss with everything going against them. One client, Black woman from Pennsylvania, when I met her, she was living in a trailer park with no electricity, no water, had to quit her job to work with me because she wanted to leave the country and go to my money goddess retreat in Bali. I take like between 4 and 8 women. And now she owns a construction. Well, first she got her master's in psychology, despite an extremely racist institution that kept trying to get her to leave. She got her degrees and license anyway. And now she owns a construction company and she's negotiating multi-million-dollar municipal deals. And she's not the only one with such a dramatic story. I've got lots of them. So in answer to your question, I find that the root cause behind your money limitation, and by extension, probably everything else, are always issues around lovability, worthiness, and safety.
Wow.
So anything that ever made you feel unsafe, accidents, violence, illness, anything that made you feel unloved. And we all get churns at that in life, whether it was parents or friends or lovers or people not hiring us or whatever. When we don't feel loved, it feels like the universe doesn't love us and we feel unlovable and unworthy. Our value, big challenge for me in my story was charging because I didn't want to hurt anybody. So money got in the way of love, and asking for money felt like it was hurtful to others. So I had to really change my relationship with money and the value that I give before I could charge. And so, okay, safety, love, and worth. Okay, I covered the big 3. And I find that stuff that really doesn't look on the surface like it has to do with money, like eating disorders, just you go for wherever the pain is hottest. Wherever the energy is. And that's where we want to dive in. The deeper you go, it usually comes up with something on the theme of enough, not good enough, not powerful enough, not worthy enough, not loved enough. But there's something that isn't enough. Others can have this, but you can't. And it feels like being, the hated stepchild of the universe. And we want to get into that dark place because that's what creates the tension, like a slingshot, the energy, the leverage to create change. So you want to have not just some sort of intellectual experience. Oh, what are some of my limiting beliefs about money? No, you want to go really, really deep into your heart and deep into your gut. You want to have a full body experience. What you're actually doing from a neurological standpoint when I do this is we're lighting up your neurology so that we can rewire your brain. But that doesn't happen unless you're fully emotionally engaged. So in response to your question, the deepest themes are always around love, worth, and safety. And I usually see some variation on the theme of not enough, that you are somehow not enough, not deserving.
I feel that so deeply. And these beliefs in our subconscious, they run so deep. So how can people begin to bring awareness to their own relationship with money?
Well, first, we want to diagnose what's wrong. I call my process alchemy. Again, religion major, Smith College, geek out, right? So alchemy, for my purposes, is the transmutation of leaden human experience into spiritual and material gold. So the first step is digging up the lead. And there's a huge human tendency when you start to do that to go, oh, but it's not that bad. And because these feelings are kind of scary. So we want to minimize it. It's not that bad. Or we make it healthy, we categorize it, and that will not help you here. What we want to do is stretch the slingshot as tight as we can, not so tight that you re-traumatize yourself or dissociate, right? No harm. But we want to really get you into this feeling of, ugh, no wonder. And then we do a really weird leap of creative imagination. And when you've dug up this sort of like court case against the universe, this is why life sucks and I don't want to be here, because of all these horrible experiences I had. And then let's load on some of this crap that wakes me up at night that's going on the planet. And I rest my case. This sucks and I want none of it. Then you're going to imagine that all of this is the creation of a single entity. And that is your personal monster. And we're also going to call it your money monster, because we've already established that money affects everything. And money is really just a metaphor for love and worth and safety. And that's why we're all so weird about money and why oligarchs can't have enough, because they don't feel safe. And all the money in the world doesn't make them feel safe. There is no enough. So, and by the way, I've coached clients on public assistance and I've coached billionaires. Human beings are human beings. Same core issues. Hello. And drama doesn't go away when you have more money. It just gets more dramatic unless you change your relationship with money. So we make it a person because a person is real. Now we're no longer in the realm of just ideas and abstract concepts. As soon as you have this person, this bad guy or girl or they, just plug in whatever comes up for you.
So channel all of that into a visual of this being.
Yes. And some of us are really crap at visualization. So including me, that I got a visual of my money monster the first time was just an accident because I was in so much pain at that moment. So by the way, you can do this even if you never really get a clear visual. I would say start with how big is the feeling? So if there's a monster person, a monstrous person, because we want to make it real. And there was like one person who was doing all of this to you and the world, mostly just to F with you. How big is this person? Does he feel hot or cold? What does he smell like? I love smell because nothing is more emotional than smell. And now what do his hands look like? What do his teeth look like? What do his eyes look like? And it may not be a he. It usually is. And then when it's real enough, how does it make you feel? What is the worst thing it says to you? Okay. At this point, we're at a crossroads because this thing will kill you. Only one of you gets to survive. Who do you choose? There is a right answer. And that organically leads us to step number 3, which is you need to annihilate the money monster by any means necessary. And in so doing, you are rejecting, at least in principle, everything that no longer is allowed in your life experience. And there's a real power. What you're doing is you're taking these victim experiences that you've had, that many people tell you, oh, get over it, or it's wrong or bad to have these experiences. They're actually a tremendous source of power and wisdom, and you don't want to waste them. You've already been through the experience, paid the price of admission. Now we want to use it. And victim experiences tend to have a very heavy feeling. The sacred wrath, of destroying the monster has a rising energy, and you want to use that and slay and reject the monster in the most graphic, bloody, violent terms that you can imagine. By the way, I am a hippie peacenik. See my Buddha in the background? Of course not. You can't hear it, but you're only listening. But I specialize in Buddhism. I've got like peace and love posters all over the house. And there's a time where you have to say, This does not get to exist. So for that reason, the monster doesn't get to be your parents, because you're not going to even pretend to kill your parents, no matter how monstrous they might have been, because sometimes they are. And the monster's not you. The monster is what you reject. And it may have a form, and it may look like a public figure, or it may look like somebody you've never known, but it feels very real to you. And you get rid of it. And that's the third step of financial alchemy. When you get rid of it, there's like so much energy released. When the monster is gone, I check for how you're feeling, because I want it to be all gone. It's completely binary. It's there or it's not. If there's even just a little bit left, get rid of that. Because what I'm listening for is an experience that you've never had in your life. Because you've had this experience, this relationship with your money monster, you've had it since the day you were born. It was actually existed before you were born. Very typically, I hear from clients who talk about stuff going on with their grandparents. So it's like it's been there waiting for you all this time. And when you get rid of it, it's like, whoa, this is weird. And it may feel light and fantastic, and it may feel scary and uncomfortable. Both reactions are great, because it just means that something has changed and it's gone really, really deep. Yay. And you've created a vacuum. And we all know nature abhors a vacuum. So we need to fill the vacuum before some, money monster wandering down the street, checks in. So when I got rid of my monster back in 2003, my reaction was, oh, yay. Oh, heck. Stronger language. I just, I live in LA, and I just got rid of my relationship with money. Now what? And I had to think to myself, well, because the relationship that I had was so abusive and devastating and soul crushing. And I certainly didn't want to get into something like that. Like if you've ever had a breakup, you're just like not in a hurry to jump back into the same experience. So I had to ask myself, who could I want in my life so much I'd be willing to have this person in my life, even though it's money? So the real key here is that the relationship comes first, and the cash stuff comes a very, very distant second or later. It's not going to feel like money. It's going to feel like a relationship, a person.
Your new relationship with money that you're building after you've gotten rid of all that.
Yeah.
Past.
You want something that is the polar opposite from the monster. And when you get rid of the monster and everything that the monster represents, all that exists is love. So we are going to have a new relationship with money, but it's going to feel like a relationship with love. We're going to call it money because money is an area of our lives, personally and collectively, that desperately need our love and healing. So it's very useful, but it doesn't feel like money. It feels like this beautiful person worthy of your deepest admiration and trust. And if it is someone that you would feel romantically attracted to, that works best. I know that because I've tried a lot of different stuff with clients, and always a romantic relationship works best. If you can't start there because of sexual trauma, tragedies, whatever experience in your life, that's okay. Start with safe and lovable. The reason I like the lover archetype is because lovers are equal, and you can actually break your money's heart. I like to call it your money honey. So what I experienced for myself and what I see very often with clients is when they meet their money honey, the monster is gone And now it's like, so now where do you want to be? Imagine yourself in this beautiful place, like taking the senses and sort of distracting you so that you don't stress out about meeting the money honey. And when you're like totally in this beautiful field or on this beach or in this French cafe, now your money honey walks into you, surprise. And it's like you see him because you weren't like all stressed out about inventing him. So when you meet your money honey, the rules are that this is a person who loves you and chooses you over everybody in the world. This is your relationship. He chooses you, she chooses you, they choose you, whatever term you choose. And your heart expands. It's like, oh, I feel safe. Oh my God, I really, really dig this person. I can feel the love. And I want to have a relationship with this person. And that's what the new relationship feels like. It feels safe. It feels loving. You feel valued. And you can see yourself through the eyes of love. And because it's a person, now you can have a conversation. You can have conversations about all the stuff that has been, really stressing you out. And because your money honey doesn't look at it from the vantage point of your fears and neuroses. Your money honey looks at everything from the vantage point of possibility and your worth and your power and your creativity and your resourcefulness. So my favorite first question to ask the first time you meet your money honey is, what do you need from me so you can stay with me? The reason I asked that question is because I had such a profound experience the first time I met my money honey that he had been wanting to be with me for years, and I've been pushing him away like he was some scary, icky, vile, frightening monster. And it broke his heart. And he wanted to be with me, and I had this huge awareness for the first time in my life that I was the gatekeeper and I had all the power because I have the body. So what did he need from me, since it was all up to me, since I'm the powerful one here? What did he need from me? And when you ask a question, you get an answer. So my money honey's first response was he needed me to love him and to stop treating him like a monster. Fair enough. There's like that, I think it's that, I don't know if it's on Reddit or there's that column. So there's that thing on social media, am I the asshole? And then it's you, and the person writing usually is. So in this relationship, yeah, I was the asshole because I was the one who was rejecting this beautiful force of love as if he was a monster. By the way, I say that with total affection for myself, no shame. That's not the game here. Oh, mea culpa, none of that. But I could feel like, wow, I don't want to I don't want to hurt him because he's so sweet and loving. My money honey was like this tall, dark, handsome, sweet, clean cut, gorgeous guy in a tuxedo carrying a bouquet of red flowers who wanted to woo me. And I'd been treating him like slime for years. And I was like, okay, so what do you need from me so that you can stay with me? And I think I already told you, said, I need you to love me and stop treating me like a monster. And I said, deal. And so I took a look at, well, how would that look? And I made a commitment to him that next time he brought me a gift, which usually looked like a potential client, instead of freaking out and getting all weird when somebody asked me how much I charged, all of my shame and drama would come up. I'd feel so uncomfortable. And I would literally push people away with my own distaste for money, even though I wanted it. Yeah, I felt weird about asking and being paid. So I made a commitment that next time he gave me a gift, I would say thank you, as if it was a gift of love. And the punchline is 4 people reached out to me the very next day, less than 24 hours later, and hired me for double what I'd ever charged before.
Wow.
And that was in 2003. I've made millions of dollars since then.
Wow.
Just always putting love first, including coming from a place of, when I charge from a place of love with clients, I don't manipulate. I don't try to convince anybody that they need to hire me. I have my book. I have hundreds of free videos and articles. I do podcasts and all this kind of stuff to help everybody that I can. But if somebody wants to hire me, they know, and I don't need to convince them. And I have great relationships with clients going back decades because it's based on love, and only clients that I know I can help. And there's certain things that come up and it's like, oh yeah, my clients sound a certain way. So the 6 steps: uncover the root cause, which is always related to love, worthiness, and safety. Personify the root cause as your money monster. Obliterate the money monster. Meet your money honey. Have a conversation with your money honey, and then take concrete, measurable action. So I didn't really spell it out when I was, delving into my story. But so my concrete, measurable action, my commitment when my money honey would bring me a client would be to say thank you. What that would look like is, this is my fee. And then I would shut up, which, if you've been listening to me at all, you know that that's like the hardest thing in the world for me. And let people make a decision like grown-ups.
And be in that place of gratitude, which is that higher frequency loving place.
And love them whether they hire me or not. And by the way, if you don't pressure people for not hiring you, and you don't make them feel bad for not hiring you, and you love them anyway, and you want the best for them, a lot of times that no is just a not yet, and they come back anyway. If they're the right ones for you, because maybe somebody else is better for that particular person. Which also is a huge relief, that none of us have to be responsible for everybody on the planet, at least in terms of being hired by them. But yeah, we are responsible for everybody on the planet, in that we don't want to spread disease or, destroy the climate and make, the world an uninhabitable place.
Absolutely. And you say in your book something I really loved, which kind of summarized everything you just said. You say, clean out fear and pessimism, plant love and trust instead.
Oh, I said that, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. Well, and so I know I spend a lot of time on the front end with the uncovering the root cause. To clear it out is not to pretend it isn't there. It's more like, let's say you had a snake bite. You don't put a Band-Aid on the bite, because then the poison is going to turn inward. You want to suck it out and spit it out. And then you have room for a great relationship. There are scientific studies that have shown that affirmations don't work unless you already believe that. So if you're 300, 400, 500 pounds and really, really unhealthy, and you're saying, I am a sleek, athletic supermodel as your affirmation. Granted, this is totally extreme, but you get the idea. You will actually feel worse, because saying something you know is not true accentuates the gap. But if you have done the emotional inner work of digging up and forming and getting rid of your money monster and replacing it with this loving money honey who feels real and talks to you, then when you say things like, money speaks to me for my highest good, my prosperity serves the world, then those affirmations actually do work.
Absolutely. And you had one other affirmation in your book. Once you've gone through the 6 steps, once you have your money honey, once you've already started down the process, there was one other affirmation I really, really liked, which was, I respect and appreciate the abundance in my life. That abundance mindset, because you say in your book, as we expand our abundance consciousness, we create space for miracles.
Yes. That is the funnest part. I mean, that is the crazy fun part, that the reason I call this financial alchemy and my business is charmed life coaching is really because people have always been slapping the label magical on me. And I'm the daughter of lawyers and scientists. So you can imagine there's there's a little bit of a conflict because I also want to have integrity. But things happen that I blow my mind every day that I can't really explain. I can't predict or promise it, but it happens all the freaking time.
The universe works in mysterious ways.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Especially when we make it friendly. And I want to mention Gabriella. She came to my mind much earlier in our conversation, but I was holding up talking about her. Gabriella grew up in poverty in Peru. Super hardworking, industrious, and ambitious girl. Got herself accepted to NYU and got lots of scholarships and still graduated with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, living in New York City. And not only needing to make ridiculous amounts of money to pay for a tiny apartment in New York City and live and pay off her student debt, but also send money to her parents at home. When she hired me, when she was 23 years old, that's one of the cases where I can't believe this person is hiring me, but she's decided and I love her, so I'm going to let her hire me. And so what has happened is she was in horrible, soul-crushing, dead-end jobs that were leading nowhere, not in the area that she had gotten her degree. And she knew she wanted to hire me. So I coached her, and I also took her on my goddess retreat in Bali because I just throw that in with my private year-long clients. And the most interesting thing happened, especially when she was around other women on the same journey. As soon as she got home, she had been sending out job applications, and nobody was biting. But as soon as she put Bali on her resume, she started getting all of these interviews. And she started booking all these jobs. And then she started making loads of money, which created a new challenge, which is she needed to figure out what to do with the money. I helped her have healthy boundaries. My top priority was getting her out of the dead-end jobs, but also to have healthy boundaries with her family so that she could support them in a way that was also sustainable for her, both practically and energetically. But she started investing, and that became a new passion. So she was getting, all these TV personality reporter jobs, but she's also making all this money and investing. And now she has since created a company called Latino Wall Street because she started giving advice to people who look like her and discovered nobody is doing that. Think of that, what a huge audience that is that has been ignored all this time. So she's the CEO of Latino Wall Street. And then she fell in love with her business partner, and now she's married, CEO of Latino Wall Street, on the Forbes Business Council, has a billboard in Times Square, is living the good life on a beachfront property in Puerto Rico, and last week announced that she's pregnant.
Wow.
Right? And when she started, came from this family history of poverty. I forgot to mention, and attracting the ickiest guys because she's beautiful, adorable 23-year-old naive person. And now she's this powerhouse businesswoman, happily married, making lots of money, helping empower and enrich Latinas like herself, making the world a better place, and not sacrificing love or lifestyle or legacy while doing it.
It's truly amazing. So let's talk about this new wealth paradigm available to us as we transform our relationship to money. Obviously, we've already touched on it, but this new paradigm is centered in love and acts as a vehicle for global healing. Morgana, can you tell us what that looks like on an individual level as we transform our relationship to money?
Well, the secret is the more loving you are, the more money you make and get to keep. And not loving in this sort of self-sacrificing doormat way, because that's not sustainable and that's not loving to yourself. And when you abuse yourself, that breaks your money honey's heart. But it's also not hurting anybody else. You know, we struggle with this misinterpretation of the Bible saying the love of money is the root of all evil. That's actually not what the statement was in the original language, Aramaic. The original statement was the worship of money is going to cause problems. And I would say, yeah, it totally will. That's not the point. Love is not evil. Love is noble. Love is generous. Love is expansive. Love is your best self. So you want a relationship with a money honey, an imaginary personified money who wants you to be your best self, your kindest self, your most self-loving self, which is not selfishness, but self-care is really, really important. Self-respect is really, really important. And your money honey wants you to save the world the way you want to save the world. That's the thing, is your money, the money honey shares your values. So you do not have to, if love and your values are playing on one team and money's on the other team playing against each other, everybody loses. So we put them on the same team and things get a lot clearer and a lot easier. There's less inner conflict. I like to say that the true purpose of money is to serve love and to serve a great lifestyle and to serve legacy. My definition of wealth is the financial freedom to focus our lives completely on love, lifestyle, and legacy. Again, you know, we talked about it before. When you feel full, when you feel loved, and you feel like you're good enough, and you feel safe, it's amazing how the need to shop just sort of goes away. It's, you know, and what you really want to do is you want to help, because that's what makes human beings happy. Love, lifestyle, and legacy.
That gave me chills. We so desperately need to shift to this new paradigm. And Morgana, how can healing our relationship to money heal the world?
Global change starts locally. I think I heard something like that back in the 80s. And I'm sure it's way, way older than that. Start with yourself. Like, the biggest waste of energy, and by the way, I'm guilty of it as anybody else, is like pointing the finger at somebody else. Oh, they're so bad. Great. But what are you going to do to create the world you want to live in? So start with what isn't working and what's going on inside that is in your way. You know, put all those people and things outside of yourself that bother you, put those in your money monster. And imagine destroying your money monster. And now it's like, now sit down with your money honey. Sit on his lap, or have your money honey sit on your lap. Either way works. And cuddle. And then as partners, take a look at the problem that you want to solve and strategize together. See what you see that you didn't see before, and then take action. You know, step number 6, nothing is real until you take real world action. Action is magical. Take baby steps, grand gestures, super fun for movies. Tend not to change much in real life. Take daily action, baby steps. If you can do 3 or 5 things every day, little things to make the world a better place, you are going to accomplish so much more than you imagine.
And everything is connected, and we all have an impact.
Yes. Yes.
And in this new wealth paradigm that we've been talking about, there is the possibility where it doesn't harm the planet, like in the current paradigm.
Well, let's get real. Harming the planet is disastrous for any economy. It's bad for business. What is the cost of all those businesses destroyed by the latest hurricane or the latest fire? It's not good economically, and all the money, all the cash in the world is worthless if you don't have any oxygen to breathe or water to drink or food to eat. It's pointless. So the most loving thing that we can do for each other and for our relationship with money is love and appreciate and respect and protect what we have. This planet, this resource, this community that we have together. It's sacred.
It is. And Morgana, you've made me really excited and hopeful for the future. And really thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom and your insights today. Is there any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave us with today?
Well, you're going to have a relationship with money for your entire life, and it's going to be one of the most significant relationships you have, because it is your relationship with life. And a lot of stuff is not your fault. Like the relationship you have with money coming into this interview, not your fault, but it is your responsibility because you are powerful. So use it, create a love affair, an epic love affair worthy of legends, and love yourself, love life, make money a force of love, and save the world as only you can.
I implore you to take time after listening today to start exploring your relationship with money, uncover your limiting beliefs, get to the root, transform your relationship with money, transform your life. And as we transform, the world transforms. There is a new way of being available to us, one based in love and sovereignty and abundance that does no harm to people or the planet. It's up to each of us to heal and shift and support each other. We are in this together. Sustainable abundance is available to us as we transition toward a new earth. The universe works in mysterious ways. I'll end today with a quote from Morgana's book. True wealth is the sense of profound well-being that comes with knowing that we are loved for ourselves, just as we are.